This is a bottle of nitrous.
And this is also a bottle of nitrous.
Yes, very good. And that is a PT Cruiser. And today we're gonna see how much spray a PT Cruiser can take before something gives way. Oh!
Welcome to Donut.
So we've all seen the iconic bottles and have undoubtedly seen a car purging online. But what exactly is nitrous oxide, or NOS? Put simply, nitrous oxide is a gas that boosts your car's speed by adding extra oxygen to the engine. The engine oxygen allows the engine to burn more fuel, which in turn generates more power. In nitrous oxide systems, wet refer to different methods of injecting nitrous oxide into the engine. A wet nitrous system mixes nitrous oxide with fuel before it enters the engine, ensuring the right balance of extra oxygen and fuel for increased power. In contrast, a dry nitrous system injects only nitrous oxide into the engine while relying on the existing fuel system to provide extra fuel. All right, so the first step is basically kind of getting an idea of where you want to mount the bottle. We've decided to put it in the trunk, and right underneath that is our spare tire, so we got to get rid of that guy so that we don't drill right into it. So once you've kind of decided where you want to put the bottle, you're going to want to put the straps onto the bottle so that they're in the right orientation. Then you'll grab a pen and simply mark where you want to put these holes and get to drilling. All right, so outside of having to drill some holes to mount the actual bracket itself, you got to drill a hole so that we can put the nitrous line through it. Last step is put the bottle in, make sure nothing's hitting, and it all looks good. With the back all finished up, Johnny's going to go ahead in the front and get the fuel lines routed along with the nitrous line as well, and our purge system all mounted up. Since it's a wet system, we've got to get a nozzle drilled into the intake itself. Once the bung and nozzle have its place, go ahead and just put the intake pipe back on, start routing all your piping. Now it's just more of the same, just making a bunch of lines. So since nitrous uses super high pressure, Johnny has to use a hydraulic press crimp here so that the lines are strong enough to handle all that. So now that the solenoids and all the lines are routed, next up is everybody's favorite, our purge system, baby. This lets everyone know you mean business when you pull up to the races. And that purge tube is a universal length, so you really just find where you want it to shoot out, measure, and chop it. As if we didn't have enough lines going, now it's time to route the line that goes from the bottle to the front of the car. Make sure it's secured really well and away from any exhaust or anything low hanging. So next up is going to be the switch that actually turns on the nitrous itself. So we're going to go with a foot pedal switch instead of the standard button. This way, if it gets out of hand, we can just lift off the throttle. Now with most of the plumbing done, you just got to get the switch mounted for your purge system. So now we got everything hooked up. We just got to fill this bottle full of nitrous. The guys over at Nitrous Supply actually go by weight, not how much PSI is in the bottle itself, because that will change all the time with temperature. With everything finished up, it's time to test the purge system itself. So purging does exactly what the name suggests. It purges any existing nitrous or system into the atmosphere via this tube. Oh, that's awesome.
This is Restore and Protect from today's sponsor, Valvoline. It's the only motor oil that actively restores and protects your engine from future damage. If you've got project cars like us, this is essential. This motor oil restores your pistons back to factory clean, removing up to 100% of those nasty deposits. That's the first motor oil ever to do that. That's insane. Plus, it packs 79% stronger anti-grip protection versus the industry standard. That means longer engine life, better gas mileage, and of course, more power. Clean up your project car's engine with Restore and Protect from today's sponsor, Valvoline, the original motor oil. To learn more, click the link below. What are you doing?
Now let's go to the track and see just how much nitrous this thing can handle.
How are we going to test our nitrous today?
All right, listen, here's what I'm thinking. We're going to use the straightaway on Streets of Willow. We're basically going to drag race this thing. We're going to start with no nitrous, obviously, and then we're going to crank up the juice and start with a 35 shot, and then we'll sort of see what it takes. See how much faster it feels. I'm very interested to see if this car can feel fast, and then how fast it can feel before it gives up the ghost.
I think it's going to go at 50. What do you think it's going to go at?
Well, I think it depends on how many runs we do. I think it can handle a 50 shot for a while, maybe not indefinitely. I bet it can handle a 100 shot for a little while. We have the ability to go up to 175, which I think should definitely do it.
That'll do it.
All right, well, before we start squirting the spray, let's just take this thing around the track a few times, get a feel for it, see how a pretty much stock PT Cruiser feels.
It's good to be back in the office, you know. This is the car I used to infiltrate the PT Cruiser community.
That's right.
It's near and dear to my heart.
All right, Jimmy, let's do our first pass.
Are we on nitrous?
We're not on nitrous.
Okay, this is not on nitrous. Let's slow it down.
All right.
So we just did our first pass with no nitrous, and big surprise, PT Cruiser's pretty dang slow. So we're gonna do something about that, and that something is right here. Like I was talking about, this is a wet system back here, and this line goes to this solenoid, which is in charge of the nitrous. This line, which goes to another solenoid down there, is in charge of the fuel. So how we determine how much nitrous and how much fuel is let through and into our intake is by way of these little suckers. These are the jets, and they've got very small openings or orifices that let a certain amount of nitrous and or fuel through. So we're gonna step up to a 35 horsepower shot first. So we're gonna put a jet in the nitrous and in the fuel side of our little Y piece. Now let's go see how this thing feels.
All right. Nitrous.